Cyberpunk 2077 is the most anticipated game of the year after being in development for 8 years and with 3 delays just in 2020 alone. And the reception of this game is pretty mixed depending on what platform you play it on. Sure, bugs were to be expected, but if you bought the game to play on your PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, the game is drastically different from what the trailer shows, and it could be downright unplayable, and that's putting it nicely. If you bought it on the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, you can either wait for them to update it and hope that it's in a playable state in the next couple of weeks, or you can get a refund either from your retailer or CD Projekt Red directly if the retailer chooses to deny it. So what now? Well, you could actually play it on Google Stadia right now. I'm serious. Google's gaming platform that was released in 2019 has been quietly building up its infrastructure, and if you played it when it first came out or watched the reviews back then, you might be discouraged to give it a shot now, but I do assure you it's pretty good. I've been using it for the past couple of weeks. Google Stadia is definitely something that traditional gamers need to wrap their head around. There's no proprietary hardware that's required. You just need a device that has a Chrome browser, and you can play it on your PC even if it's not graphically capable. You can play it on an HP basic laptop. You can also play it on your Android phone natively, or you can play it on a Chromecast Ultra.
Editor Nick here, just to add that Google Stadia also works on iOS devices. They just added that feature today.
And if you don't like the mouse and keyboard setup and don't have a controller laying around, Google has you covered with their special controller, which has the typical layout of modern controllers with parallel right and left sticks similar to the PlayStation controller. In addition to the traditional buttons, the Stadia controller offers a dedicated capture button and a Google Assistant button, but it's what you don't see that sets it apart from other controllers. The Stadia controller connects to whatever device you have via Wi-Fi, and most controllers connect via Bluetooth to the system itself, but since Stadia is a streaming service, the controller connects to the servers at Google to mitigate the lag. So how do the games actually play? Well, surprisingly pretty good, assuming that your internet connection is strong enough. Games run very smooth, up to 60 frames per second depending on the game, and Cyberpunk 2077 runs very consistently at 60 FPS if you choose the high frame rate mode, and 30 FPS in visuals mode, but the loss in fidelity in exchange for the frames isn't too much of a sacrifice. The footage that I'm showing you is from the 30 FPS fidelity version. The visual fidelity of Cyberpunk 2077 is no doubt leaps and bounds over the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but it does fall short of a high-end PC, especially with ray tracing enabled. But if you're looking for the best possible fidelity, you really aren't the target demographic for Stadia in the first place. According to Digital Foundry, PC plays Cyberpunk the best, then Xbox Series X, then Stadia, then PlayStation 5. So you have a general idea of what kind of performance you're going to get from just a streaming service. And lag isn't an issue either, at least from what I've determined. I mean, if you are sensitive to lag, then you don't really want Stadia in the first place. You've already got a PC. But I can still headshot enemies, and turning with the mouse and keyboard is just as smooth as if I was rendering it locally on the machine. I am on a strong connection though, 200 to 300 megabytes a second, which is significantly more than Google's recommended 35 megabits for 4K streaming. And the load times? They're pretty awesome too. Cyberpunk 2077 on Stadia loads very snappy. I can go from launch to gameplay in just a minute. I was playing the night before I wrote this and I got really immersed in the gameplay and simply forgot that my computer wasn't actually rendering the game. It was all done on some remote server over the internet. But again, I have to stress, I have a really decent internet connection, and a steady internet connection is required to enjoy Stadia the way that it's advertised, and that might be a hurdle for a lot of people. I live in Chicago with an internet connection that's higher than the majority of the country, so I can run over Wi-Fi with no issues. But if you have a slower connection, you're going to want to hardwire it into your Chromecast or PC. Other issues that I ran into was that my desktop has been having CPU issues, so it would stutter with the stream, causing some parts of the game to be simply unplayable. I switched to my Chromecast or my laptop and the issues went away. So I'm sure that if you have a device, make sure that it's at least made in the past couple of years and you'll be fine. I think the most appealing part of Stadia, besides the seamless gameplay, is that you don't have to pay a monthly fee if 4K is not important to you. The base service is free and offers 1080p streaming, you just need to buy the games. If you spend the money for the Pro version, you'll get 4K quality, 5.1 surround sound, and discounts on games with the occasional freebie from month to month. I was able to pick up Celeste, Panzer Dragoon Remake, and Hitman 2, all which run smoothly and don't require any downloads or updates. You just click the play button and you're ready to go. And although I do sing praises of Google Stadia, it really does have a lot of issues to overcome. Specifically, which is kind of out of Google's control at the moment, data caps. Right now, most major internet service providers cap internet usage to 1 terabyte, and with 12 gigabytes an hour at 1080p, you could hit your cap after 80 hours of non-stop gameplay, and that's assuming that you're only using Stadia and no other services that use internet, like YouTube, Netflix, and assuming that you work from home, Zoom calls. And the other big issue is the stigma that it's a streaming service. The perception that you can play high quality games over the internet without any hardware is a pretty foreign concept, especially when you consider that consoles have been around for over 40 years. It's kind of hard to pull yourself away from an actual console and play on something smaller than a hockey puck. But a lot of things are streaming. This video is being beamed through your phone. You can watch people play games live, so why not play the games over the internet as well? Right now, I do think that Google is on the right track with Stadia, but the marketing seems to be kind of misguided. It seems to be geared towards PC gamers instead of console gamers. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles are difficult to find right now, so why not push the Stadia bundle, which is only $100, or even invite people to play Destiny 2 absolutely free? They did make an effort to put Premiere Edition bundles in as many hands as possible, first by offering it to those who had a monthly subscription to YouTube Premium, and then those who purchased Cyberpunk 2077. So now I have 2 Premiere Editions since I had YouTube Premium and I bought Cyberpunk 2077 on the service. And unfortunately, they did sell out of the bundles to offer, so you'll have to buy the bundle or just the controller if you already have a compatible Chromecast. You can, of course, use an Xbox or PlayStation controller if you already have one, or do like I do and play with the mouse and keyboard on your PC. And besides those shortcomings, I really do recommend Stadia to those interested in the service, especially if you have been out of the gaming circle for a generation or two. I don't really suggest selling your PlayStation 4 or Xbox One in favor for Stadia, but one friend has been playing it for a year and he loves the service. It's really convenient to play the game on his TV, then go to the bedroom and play on his phone right where he left off. Then my other friend just purchased Cyberpunk 2077 and took advantage of the free Premiere Edition, and he loves it as well. Him and his girlfriend haven't had a gaming system since the Xbox 360, so it was really convenient for them to jump into the next generation title without having to purchase a console just to play that one game. Stadia has the potential to carve out a market of people who are either casual gamers or just buy a console specifically for one game. Adding in hit titles is a start, but if they really want to make waves, they need to partner up with EA and Activision to bring in Madden and FIFA and Call of Duty to the service, and really market the fact that you don't have to wait for any updates to a game. Nothing is worse than having a small amount of time to play video games only to be met with a system update, then a game update. With Stadia, you just click to play. The new patch of Cyberpunk 2077 was seamlessly ready for me when I played this morning. So that wraps up this video on Google Stadia. So what do you think of the service? Did this video convince you to give it a shot? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, give it a like. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for future content. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Super Nintendo, and I'll see you next time.